Welcome to the world of nutrition. This is a show that takes place once a month with the most amazing host, Marilyn Lemaire from Hawaii. And we've been partnered up with her for several years now, having this unique and educational podcast happening. I'm so proud of what she has produced and what this all has become. My name is Sue Roscoff, and I am with the World of Ability Podcast Network. And does that not speak to ability and what we all need when we're talking world of nutrition? So this is something, again, that is on the second Friday of the month at 1 o'clock Hawaii time. So what we are doing tonight, though, is a little bit different. It's a little extra special, and we've got some friends that are joining us here tonight. And then after just a few minutes here of our crew, we're going to go ahead and play for you a repeat of one of actually what Marilyn considered to be one of her favorite shows that has been produced over these last few years. So stick around, find out more about what that looks like. But we do have our crew in the background. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Emily, and we are making this happen tonight. I absolutely love what World of Ability is, and I'm going to go ahead and pass this on over to Emily.
Yeah, welcome everybody. It's been a treat doing this with Marilyn. I think it's all about nutrition for the mind, body, and soul. Um, so, but yeah, so we started like a few years ago. And she's had great guests, bring great guests on, and I've always learned a lot from all of her great guests. I don't know about you, Sue, but for me, it's interesting, the different varieties she's had.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember for sure who she has in the replay tonight. When is this replay from? Do you happen to have that date handy? Because I know it was from a while back, and she always her format is pretty standard. You know what you're going to get when you get Marilyn. First of all, you're going to get a truly heartfelt, wonderful woman who does a lot for so many people. She brings in two guests for each week, and they each are on for about 20 minutes each to highlight what they do and it's all serving people. Everybody really truly has that servant aspect, and it's impressive who she's all had. So, Emily, go ahead.
Yeah, I think this episode is from just like a couple months ago. I believe 2 or 3 months ago. I have to go back and look at the date, but yeah, it's a relatively recent one, and she felt like she had a breakthrough with one of the guests on there, so which is awesome. So stay tuned for when we get to play that. But um, uh, I want to bring in Kurt here. Kurt, what do you have to say about uh, working with Marilyn? And it's been a great run, right?
Well, first of all, I just want to kind of give a little context what's going on here. We're running a podcast network here, World Ability Podcast Network. And so Sue, Emily, and I are the driving force with all of our activities. And in about 54 minutes, we're going to be transitioning through a separate video, not available here in this video creation here, this video link or the file here, but we'll be opening up a new um, show program and right at the tail end of this thing here, running into our next hour of production. So Sue, I know you've got your hands full to be back and ready for that. So we'll let you go, Sue. Anything before you drop off, or are you going to drop off right now, Sue?
Well, I just want to say I love what Marilyn does, and you should go ahead and check out her links and subscribe. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you know when she is going to be up next, and follow along with what she's all doing, because Marilyn is amazing. She's done a lot with us, both here and with the Mutual Aid Network, and again, couldn't be more proud of her and her show. So thank you so much. Have a great show.
Thank you.
There you go. So what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of this show and the spotlighting of a past episode, doing a rerun, giving, extra attention to content created by Marilyn, to really exude her enthusiasm for the show and so forth. So Emily, don't worry that we're going to run into the hour of possibilities to prosperity. But I want to give Ben a chance. Ben, are you available to add your commentary as you're getting a little gist, a little notion of what world of nutrition is? What's going on in your world of nutrition, Ben?
Uh, I'm experiencing the brilliance of that brain food has, and wanting to spread the word about the importance of your diet per whatever lifestyle you have, or illness, and really influencing the importance of diet versus illness. So like I have ADHD, so I eat a high protein, low carb diet, so stuff about diet is really on my mind, and then providing sustainable food solutions for people in urban living areas and creating food sources by gardening, out of apartments and places where you normally wouldn't see that. That's kind of where my head is today.
Very good. Good stuff, Ben. So this is part of the magic what we do here at the World Ability Podcast Network and Ergo, World of Nutrition by Marilyn Lemaire. These are the dynamics that are coming together because Ben and Marilyn haven't met each other. So here we go. We can work as a team, bring Ben in, and Marilyn will be introduced to Ben a little bit through catching up to this episode we are creating on her behalf. So exciting things always on the grow right here at World Ability with World of Nutrition. And so I want to give Marilyn credit for the work that she does in innovative nutrition. And that is actually the brand, innovative with the digit eighth in the middle there. And then she has a website of wearable-nutrition.com. Emily, take it away.
Um, just I think a correction on that. I think she was with the Innovative, but I think now she's with Frequence.
Yeah, the frequency, yeah, she's put
Yeah.
frequency more in the front line, but when you get emails from Marilyn, because I'm sharing in our meeting here that Friday, June 5th, what I'm sharing is right in her email address.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that. I guess I must have missed the
Yeah, I mean, you
I
are accurate.
missed the innovative part of that, but yeah.
Yeah, so, but it is accurate though to say frequency is really more what she's sharing at the front line here at World of Nutrition and all of that. And she does like the work we're doing with mutual aid networks. So mutual aid network having structures like time banking and helping on budgeting and community
Yeah, I
investment.
know. Yeah, I know she
The
likes.
process.
I know she's come on a couple of our things and done karaoke, like online karaoke. So it's one of her things she likes to
Yes.
do. The karaoke part, and so she's done that for us a few times.
Yeah, which actually, Ben, if you were interested, maybe as the encore to Fun Friday, maybe we could, well, I don't know what the timing would be for Maryland, but we could check in with her that maybe between your program, Ben, and with what we're doing, maybe we have karaoke come into kind of a co-mingled programming if that sounds interesting to you, Ben. But
Yeah,
what do
it's
you
pretty
think
much.
about doing an event with karaoke is what we kind of bleed into?
Yeah, anything that's fun, anything that's outside of a normal podcast, it's just me talking to a screen. I want to do it. Yeah,
All right, sounds
anything that's
good.
fun.
There you go. So there it is. So yeah, Marilyn's in class. So in terms of her personal professional development, she is going and growing and doing her thing and taking care of her responsibilities and fulfilling her goals and dreams and building out her leadership and capacity to a greater level right now as we're speaking. So we can't say enough in terms of the joy it is to work with Marilyn and have her be a part of the team here through her hosting her show, her own creation, World of Nutrition. So, with that, Emily, you want to go ahead and lead into the rerun show and we'll do this watch party of a past episode. Take it away, Emily. It's time to play the other video.
Welcome to the world of nutrition. My name is Sue Roskoff. I am here with the World of Ability Podcast Network, and I could not be happier to be bringing in the amazing, the wonderful programming here, World of Nutrition, hosted by none other than Marilyn Lemaire. We are pleased to have her with us here every second Friday of the month for this amazing show. And Marilyn, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to pass it on over to you. Have a good time.
All right, thank you. Aloha, everyone. Welcome to the World of Nutrition podcast, where we talk about nutrition for your body, mind, and soul. I have two amazing guests today, and I'm really excited for them to be showcased. So my first guest is Lani Almanza, and she is a writer and author of Under a Full Moon and a Guiding Star, and a wellness consultant with her business, Alakai Associates. Throughout her professional career, she has been committed to creating healthier lives and communities. Lani holds a master's degree in communication from the University of Hawaii, Manoa, and has worked in various leadership roles related to health communication and community engagement. She was born and raised on the windward side of Oahu in Hawaii, and her life experience includes wife, mother, and grandmother, as well as a teacher, trainer, and facilitator in education, business, and nonprofit environments. In addition to her work with Alakai Associates, Lani is a contributing editor for the online magazine Givers Guides, which supports the nonprofit organization Give Me a Break, for which she also volunteers as COO. She also facilitates wellness retreats and provides wellness workshops for community groups. And this is how Lani and I met. We both love Give Me a Break nonprofit, and I'm so thrilled to have you on. Lani, please tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, we made this connection through Give Me a Break. And for me, that was a connection that kind of aligned with everything that I wanted to do with Alakai Associates. And that came out of my own caregiving journey and the lessons of self-care that really became the foundation for what I do. And it was interesting this morning as I was reflecting on our conversation today that my morning reflection actually took me to talking about our body, and that nutrition encompasses more than just what we put in our mouth, that it really is body, mind, and soul. And that the body that we come into the world with isn't something that we went and shopped for. We didn't pick it out by size or color or shape. And it doesn't have any warranties or guarantees. So it's up to us to do the maintenance and the self-care. And so for me, that's really the core of what I do.
That was amazing. And, please share with us about your book too. I love your book and your story about your son, and it's just so powerful.
Yeah, so 20 years ago this year, my youngest son, Jacob, passed away from brain cancer. And while he was going through his journey the previous 3 years, I was also finishing my master's degree at UH. And I was in communication, but more in the organizational side of it, business organization. And at some point in that journey, I switched to health communication because I needed it for myself, first and foremost. And really looking for ways that I could survive that journey of caregiving with him, to be there for him, but also for myself and for others. And so while I was taking those courses, I wrote a paper, and my professor said it would be the chapter of a book I would write. And I thought, well, that's a very nice compliment, but I did not see that on my horizon at all. And it was 3 years ago, through Give Me a Break, I met a woman who had written her caregiver story and published it. And it just really resonated with me that if she could speak and tell her story in her voice, I could tell my story in my voice.
And so I began the process of writing my book, and it was launched in 2023. And it has had impact beyond what I had imagined, because the feedback that I get from people that read the book, everybody gets something different out of it, whether they're in a caregiving journey or not. Several people have told me how it impacted them in their grief journey following their caregiving journey. So that was a surprise to me that it would have that kind of impact. And it was probably about 6 months, well, maybe not even that long after I published the first book, that people asked me if there was going to be a second one. And I thought, oh gosh, this one took a long time to get out, out of me. So what did I have left? And slowly but surely, a second book emerged, and it will be launched next February.
Amazing. That's so awesome. And something that's so powerful is we get to hear you read from your book at every Give Me a Break retreat or gala. And it's just so powerful. And we get to hear it from your perspective as the people that we are today. So it's like I'm always learning something new. I just love your heart to help encourage and be there for others, especially others that are caregivers, because something that alarmed me is 50% of caregivers don't outlive the people that they're caring for because they forget to take care of themselves first. And when I heard the statistic, I just cried. And then I was like, how can I be a part of the solution? So please tell us a little bit more about Give Me a Break.
Well, like I said, I met them, it was 2021 after COVID, and another friend of mine who I was connecting with from my Alakai Associates wellness business had met Savvy and reached out to me and said, I think you should meet this woman because you two sound like you have similar missions. And so I went down and met her face to face. And in that first conversation, we were talking about what we were doing and realized that we were both had wanted to do retreats. And she was looking for a place and struggling, trying to find something that could accommodate what she was looking for. And I said, well, it just so happens that I still have a deposit on a place that I was supposed to use in 2020, which didn't happen because of COVID. And so that was the first year that we did our first retreat together. And so we've done a retreat every year. We also, right in the beginning, because of COVID restrictions still, sort of in place, we did a lot of online work. So I did presentations and workshops online. Savvy launched our weekly support sessions, so Tuesday evenings. So really educating caregivers on the total wellness wheel. So again, encompassing that nutrition of body, mind, and soul. What we put in food wise, mentally, spiritually, all of it. So that's Tuesday evenings. And then we also launched our Givers Guides magazine, which is a totally online resource for caregivers, connecting them with resources from across the nation, around the world, really. And then on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, Savvy does a podcast, the Caring Caregiver Show, again, connecting people with resources regarding their caregiving journey around the world. And one of the things that really connected with me in the beginning was the perspective of caregiving that Give Me a Break embraces, that it's not just the elderly. Certainly, there's a large concern and focus on that portion of our population right now. But we've come across so many other people in the last 4 or 5 years that hadn't recognized that they were caregivers and needed the support and resources that we have to offer. We love to quote former First Lady Rosalind Carter that there's 4 kinds of people in the world: those who are a caregiver, those who have been a caregiver, those who will be a caregiver, and those who are going to need a caregiver. And so that encompasses all of us, really. And in fact, today I was just doing a presentation where we talked about when there's children in the family, that when someone is, being cared for, that often the children get overlooked as caregivers, that it's that primary caregiver, the spouse or, older adult that the focus is on, and that there's so much need for resources for younger caregivers, from, teenagers through young adulthood.
It's so powerful. And I actually didn't think I was part of that. And when Savvy told me, no, you are a caregiver, I was like, oh, I am. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So just utilizing the resources. And I would love for you to share with us how you've tied Alakai Associates with Give Me a Break, and how that has just been able to help uplift the whole community.
So Alakai Associates' mission is to help guide others towards leading more activated, healthy lives. Alakai is the Hawaiian word for guide or mentor or leader. And it really has more of a loved one connection. So I wanted to make sure that I kept that name because it reflected the personal touch I wanted to give to it, that it was more than just having a mentor or a coach, that I'm really there to help guide people in this journey. It encompasses nutrition. So through Alakai, I have two product lines that I use to support my wellness journey that I promote to people. So one is with LifeVantage, and that's my primary one because 6 years ago, it literally changed my life. I had chronic IBS and migraines for almost 30 years. And within 3 months after starting on those products, those disappeared and they have not returned. So that's my primary focus as far as wellness products. But beyond that, I really, really find my most joy in doing the Discovery Journal workshops, because I have found journaling to be so healing. And so they're kind of unique in the way that I do them. It's a creative process, so best done in person, but I've done them online, started online actually through COVID, and really taking people on this discovery of themselves and debunking some of the myths and perceptions about what journaling is or isn't, and helping them find their own unique way of journaling that supports their wellness, their healing, whatever path they're on right now.
Yeah, I love that. And I didn't realize, and maybe I did, however, I forgot Alakai is connection. So you just have that connection with people. You just love people. And I can always feel that when I'm around you. So I appreciate that about you. And I knew about the Life Vantage. I might have missed about the Discovering Journal workshop. So that's super fun. Like, what kind of prompts do you use for that? Or if you're able to share like different ways that you have people be intentional about their journaling.
So what I start with is, like I said, sort of demystifying what people have as their perception of journaling. And so we start with a process of just observing what's around you, letting nature nurture. Sometimes if we're in a place, I love to be in a place where nature surrounds us, and observing what's around you in nature. And then looking at images, so whether it's in magazines or online or books, images or sayings that inspire you. What brings you joy? We start looking inward first, and then start pulling those pieces into a tangible item, and we have blank journals, and we create the cover that really speaks to the individual, so that when they then move into putting something in their journal, it's very much personal to them. So I have found that really inspires people to engage with the journaling process. And then we talk about that it doesn't have to be the morning pages, 3 pages long that Julia Cameron promotes in Artist's Way. It doesn't have to be inspirational. Certainly you can add your own inspirational thoughts or quotes that might inspire you, but it's really to just explore what those pages mean to you. I started with a book called Simple Abundance by Sarah Van Brennick years and years ago, where she talks about just having a blank journal where you just put pictures, tear out magazine pictures or photographs, anything that catches your attention, put it in this journal. And over time, you'll start to see patterns, colors, words that emerge that start to reflect who you are. And so that's kind of where my process began. And then turning it into something that was a little more than a vision board as well. So I had done a couple vision board workshops. People had asked me to do them. And while those are great, vision boards are awesome, but they become very static. Like you put all that stuff together and then you post it on a wall. And unless you're in that room where that is posted, you're not feeling it. You're not engaging with it. So by having those images on the journal cover and something that you can take with you easily, you bring that vision and manifestation along with you. So that's kind of in a short summary how we do the journal workshops. And then I also do self-care, stress management workshops, like I said, for community groups, businesses.
That's amazing. I love that. I think I want to cover my current journal with more vision so I can see the things that I want to, create in my life.
Yeah. And so I have if people contact me, I have a little tutorial link that I can send them. I don't put it up on my website just because it's a little dated, and I'd rather have that engagement with people one-on-one when we're actually doing the process. But if you want the link, I can send it to you. If anybody would like to host a workshop, either in person or online, again, they can contact me to do that. And that's a lot of what I've incorporated into my work with Give Me a Break. So bringing all of Alakai into Give Me a Break, like I said, we just felt that those missions align, that these are things that caregivers find valuable as they move through each and every caregiving journey that they're on.
Well, I definitely would love the link. So, where you can send it to me. For people that don't know, how can they find you?
So I am on Facebook, both as Lani Almanza and Alakai Associates. I am on Instagram as HonuMom1_. So that's HONUMOM, all lowercase, number 1_. And then on LinkedIn as Lani Almanza.
Awesome. And please share with us about the Honu, because I know you have tattoos and you have Honu and all of that. So
yes. So when Jacob was 10, we connected with some ocean researchers on Maui and began to develop a relationship with the Honu, the green sea turtle, and the humpback whale, the kohola. And part of that was ocean environment education and protecting those animals that are in our Hawaiian waters. And Jacob became mentored by these individuals all through up until high school, actually up through his last days, really. And so the Honu, the green sea turtle, was a tattoo that he got when he was a teenager, or 18, I guess. And it sort of became this connection for us to him, to remind us of his presence. And for us, is very much a living presence. That eternal spirit is very much alive in our family. And so it has become sort of our family's Amakua, our guiding spirit. And yes, so anybody that knows me, that why I'm Honu Mom is that connection, and they show up everywhere. But the next Amakua, the next book Amakua, is the humpback whale.
I'm excited for that. Yeah, and I was gonna say Jacob is never forgotten. You have created a legacy for him too, which is very cool, and been able to make that connections with so many other caregivers. So,
Thank
thank you
you.
for art and for being brave to share your story, because I know that's not an easy thing to do.
Yep. And some days I'm able to breeze through it like this, but earlier this morning I was sharing it and I was a bucket of tears. So it's all good.
Yeah, and you're allowed to feel your feelings, and
Yeah.
well, that's what it is to be a human being. So I'm just really
Yeah.
thankful for you, Lani. Do you have any events coming up that you would like to share?
Well, with Give Me a Break, we have our annual Caregiver Gala, Caregiver of the Year. So November is Family Caregiver Month. So we run an online contest for people to submit their caregiving stories, to be brave enough to share their stories. And then we select one to honor at the event. So that's December 6th in the evening at Arcadia Retirement Home here in Honolulu. And if you're interested in joining us or donating to our auction, you can go to Give Me a Break or GAB 808.org. So again, that's GAB for Give Me a Break 808.org. So that's the big event we have coming up for Give Me a Break. And then I will have my book launch next February 1st. So I'm looking forward to that.
That is so exciting. And I'm looking forward to both, the gala and your book. And I really thank you so much for being on as a guest today. I appreciate you. You know how much I love you. And
Thank you.
yeah. And, please reach out to Lani for retreats, for journaling prompts, and for her book. All right.
Yep.
So
All right.
I appreciate you, Lani.
All right. Thanks, Marilyn. Aloha.
Thank you. Aloha. So our next guest is Sarah Vandenberg. And Sarah is a trauma therapist, trauma-informed coach, and energy healer who helps people heal what once felt was unhealable. She is a founder of Tonali Counseling Services, Tonali's spiritual practice, and Tonali Coaching Consulting Group. 3 branches of an integrative practice devoted to trauma recovery, spiritual healing, and aligned living. Sarah is a licensed clinical social worker in Texas and Hawaii. She holds advanced certification in brain spotting, addiction counseling, and sex addiction treatment. And she specializes in helping individuals recover from childhood sexual abuse, incest, betrayal trauma, enmeshment, and abandonment. And she brings both professional expertise and personal recovery experience into the healing process. As a former clinical director and program director in addiction treatment centers, Sarah has led trauma responsive teams, developed nationally recognized programs, and facilitated family healing workshops. She's also trained staff in sustainable heart-led clinical practices, and also the author of the upcoming book, Choosing to Love Again, Overcoming the Kind of Betrayal That Nobody Talks About. She's the creator of the Tonali Healing YouTube channel, where she shares trauma-informed insights on healing, self-trust, and breaking generational cycles. Sarah, you just do it all. You hold a 3rd degree in black belt in Tang Soo Do and 2nd degree black belts in American Kempo and Taekwondo. And she brings the same discipline and clarity to her work, combining grounded strength with emotional precision. She lives in Dallas, Texas with her husband and is most at home in truth-telling spaces on the mat or with a guitar in her hands. Welcome, Sarah. Please share with us a little bit more.
Thank you, Marilyn. What an incredibly long intro. Thank you very much for the warm, kind words. Yeah. So again, I'm a social worker. I'm a licensed clinical social worker supervisor in Texas, and a just social worker in Hawaii, certified sex addiction therapist, licensed chemical dependency counselor, and certified in brain spotting, which is a somatic or body-based therapy modality that helps process stuck issues that are inside the body out of the body.
Yeah, I absolutely feel if we do not process through our emotions, the energy does get stuck in our body and then we end up getting sick. and
Right.
help people to release that. So that is super.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things that's one of the examples I like to give actually, is if we think of like just think of somebody who's been in combat trauma, a war veteran, they can come back home to the United States. It can be the 4th of July and the fireworks go off and they can know in their head, in their brain, they can touch the walls of their house, right? I am safe, I am home, I am not in danger. They can know all of those things, and yet their body still reacts. So, one of the limitations of talk therapy is that we can talk about it, we can understand it, I can feel better, I can know I'm home, I can get regrounded until the next time I go out into the world and the trigger hits. And then it's as if the talk therapy never even happened. So that's the benefit of the somatic therapy, is to be able to work with the midbrain, get past the prefrontal cortex. We work with the limbic part of the brain that holds that trauma in the body and work that out of the body. So it's not just an intellectual experience of, I know I'm safe, but I don't feel it.
Yeah, I'm curious. How do you get people to recognize the triggers so that they can undo, like, and actually physically and mentally know that they're safe?
Yeah. So through the process of brain spotting, it's an eye movement kind of therapy. So some people have heard of EMDR. It's similar to EMDR in that it does use eye position, but it also uses bilateral stimulation that activates both sides of the brain. So by finding an activation point, we can figure out where that trauma is stored and help the brain process it through. The body already knows how to heal itself. We just have to kind of help implement that process. So it's actually a crazy experience. Where you look dictates how you feel. Okay. So there could be a certain circumstance where, let's say somebody was in a car crash and they saw the car coming from behind them when they looked in their rearview mirror. Okay, and so they saw what was going to happen right here. When they talk about that experience, it's very likely that they're going to look away from that. They're going to have their head lower, they're going to look away, and they're going to be able to talk about it. They're going to be able to tell me what happened. And then as I use a pointer to help them redirect their eyes, as we get closer up here, they start shifting. They might start crying, they start breathing a little heavy, like, ooh, I don't know why, but it's really uncomfortable up there. Well, it's because that's where the eyes were looking when the trauma happened. And so it was recorded in the brain differently with that eye position. So as we direct people back to eye positions that directly correlated with the initial trauma, the brain can begin to process things that it wasn't able to process before when it avoided it by looking down.
That is so fascinating. So for people that are reliving their story, retelling their story, maybe reliving as they're retelling it, they tend to look down, or they just look in a different direction than where they had their eye position when that event happened.
Where the eyes are looking is so important. If there's anything I can stress, it's really that where people are looking is so important. And when I'm talking to somebody, one of the things I don't do is be like, "Hey, I'm over here." Like eye contact, if someone's looking away, I let them. They don't have to look at me the whole time, you know? Because they're accessing something that maybe they can only access looking in that eye position. Okay, so it could be that it's more comfortable. So the car example I just gave, it could be that they're looking down because it's really uncomfortable to look up there. It could also be that they look up here because that's where the information is accessible to them. So when they look here, the story becomes a lot more clear. Their body's more connected to what happened. So it really depends. There's not a one size fits all for where the eyes go, but it is always important. And I never pull people back to me because where their eyes are is probably where their eyes need to be. And if someone's staring off into space, which is it's not that. But if someone is staring off into space and they're looking away from me and they're talking to me, and then they catch themselves and they look back and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "No, go back there. What do you notice when you look at me? What's the difference between when you look at me and when you look over there?" And this is an experiment anybody could do, right? With either something that was traumatic or something that was fantastic. So, when you think about your wedding day or seeing your child for the first time, right? It could be that when you think about seeing your child for the first time, when you look down, like that smile, it just, I don't know, I look down and I smile. I look up and I'm like, it's still happy, but I look down and there's that contagious smile because that's where the eyes were it recorded that incident. So it doesn't just have to be trauma, right? The brain records everything that way. Our eyes are our fastest sense, faster than any other sense. Because they're connected. We have six eye muscles that are connected directly to the back of the brain. It's a direct connection to the brain. The skin, like when I touch my hand, it has to travel all the way up through my arm into my spinal cord, all the way up to my brain. It actually has to travel. We don't feel in real time, even though we think we do. I mean, we're talking nanoseconds still, but sight is a lot faster. So our brain is able to record what we see when things happen at a different rate.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I got into a car wreck back in May, and then I did drive for over 2 months because I just felt so much fear that I would hurt somebody else. And nobody else was hurt in that car wreck, just me. And so I'm curious, like I am driving, however, I don't pay attention to see if I am not looking at that certain direction when the
Yeah.
car wreck.
And maybe notice, probably when you're parked, maybe notice, like when I look in that direction, how do I feel when my hands are on the wheel? Right?
Mm,
Do I feel more anxious? And it's okay to just notice that anxiety. Like say I'm looking over here and I feel that anxiety. It's okay to just feel it and allow it to pass. Because that's one of the best things about brain spotting is that that's what it does. It opens up this channel for that energy to flow up and out. It gets untrapped. The brain unstucks itself, I always say.
that was amazing. I wanted to also touch on, you talked about different trauma, whether it be, physical, mental,
Hmm.
sexual, how you help people with that. I just did an exercise recently where I realized at, decades after being a child, it is that I perceived as a child that my mom hated me and I was a burden on her. And when I realized that, I was like, that can't be true. However, my little girl in me realized, no, I seriously thought my mom hated me. And so I'm curious, like how you navigate with people through those kind of things.
Yeah. So I classify abuse on 5 different levels. Okay, the physical, the sexual, the emotional, the intellectual, and the spiritual. And all of these 5 different parts are, 100% of the way it could be, but they're all 20. None of them carry more weight than others. Like our society tends to put more pressure or more weight on sexual abuse, physical abuse over the other three. I've found that the other three sometimes are more complicated to treat as people vary as forms of abuse. So the first thing we do is existed here. And so what you just described a lot of, and I don't know exactly what happened, but from what you described, it sounds like there was probably some spiritual abuse, which is not commonly talked about. There might have even been intellectual abuse. So talk about those two a little bit, because I think as a society, we really understand what physical abuse is and what sexual abuse is, and even emotional abuse is any time that the child feels this innate shame about who they are, about their family system. Any type of shaming statement, are you sure you want to eat that? It looks like you're gaining some weight. Right? That would be emotional abuse, right? I'm trying to make somebody feel shame to get them to do what I want them to do. Spiritual abuse is going to be any time a child has parents that become the higher power for the child, and the parent does not point to a power greater than themselves. So common times that happens is when a parent abandons a child, showing them, I'll leave you. You're not as important. And it doesn't have to be intentional. It could be through what, Lani was talking about earlier, some sort of, medical issue where the parent has to go to the hospital frequently and not able to be there. It's not about the intent, it's about the impact. That goes with what I like to say about trauma, which is actually something that Gabor Mate says himself, is that trauma is not what happens to us. What happens to us is traumatic. The trauma is what happens inside us, right? So we're treating what happens inside us, not just what happens to us. It's not good enough to look at what happened to us. And when we get trapped in the what happened to us, a lot of times it can be minimizing or maximizing of things that happened. We can put too much weight on sexual abuse and not enough weight on spiritual abuse or anything like that. They're equal abuses and they all damage the inside of how we function, um, equally just in different ways. But the spiritual abuse, there could be abandonment, there could be controlling. So rules for the child that the parents themselves do not follow, in essence, what I say, not as I do. It's an incredibly spiritually abusive message because it shows the children, the parents, I am God, I can do what I want to do, but you can't. Having unrealistic expectations for the children.
Wow.
Never apologizing for their mistakes. When a parent never apologizes for their mistakes, it shows the children that their parents are perfect, or at least act as if, which points out flaws of and more. They carry shame. And then there's intellectual abuse, which is another one that's not commonly talked about. So intellectual abuse is anytime a parent does not help the child problem solve on a level that is appropriate for them. It could be as overt as telling the child they are dumb and will not amount to anything, of course, but it's usually not quite as overt. It's usually a lot more covert. So, for example, and Marilyn, it looked like you had a question. Before I go into my example, did you have a question?
I was just gonna ask what was intellectual, so you're perfectly
Perfect.
right.
Okay, good. Okay. So I use an example for this one because I think it's just so pivotal. I don't have a child, but for the purposes of this story, we're going to pretend I do, and his name is Johnny. My unborn fake child's name is Johnny. I don't know why, but it always has been. So let's say Johnny is 4 years old, and I take him to Walmart, and it's maybe it's after work, and we're on a bit of a rush. We have people coming over later tonight, so I got to make dinner. We're in and out. We're on a mission. And so we go through Walmart, we get everything that we need, and we're at the checkout line, and I'm putting things on the conveyor belt, getting ready to go. And Johnny's looking at the candy section, which is right there as we check out, so that we can have this fight every single time that we leave the store on if he gets candy or not. And so as a moderate parent, I decide to say sometimes yes and sometimes no, right? Like that would be the moderation. And so last time I said no, he asks if he can have a piece of candy. I say yes. Okay, that was my parental decision. I just get to make it because I'm the parent. You just get to make decisions like that sometimes as the parent. And I think, that the people coming over tonight, they don't have a kid. He's probably going to be bored, probably kind of stuck in his room on his tablet, and the adults are going to be having conversation. So sure, yes, he can have a piece of candy. So he's staring at the candy section. He's figuring that out, and I'm putting things on the belt. We get done. I take my wallet out. I'm going to pay. And then the cashier points over at Johnny. And I look back and I recognize, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's no closer to figuring out what he wanted than when we started. And I'm gonna give two different scenarios of this story. Okay. So with the intellectual abuse, if I am intellectually abusing him, what I might do is snap back at him, and be, Johnny, just pick something or you're not going to get anything. Let's go. Just do it. Come on, we don't have time for this. You're not going to get anything, right? With some emotional energy behind it, all of that. And now he's frozen in panic because he has no idea what to do now. Now, one thing I didn't make very clear, and let me be very clear. He is 4. Okay, this is the biggest decision Johnny's going to make today. This is it. This is the make or break decision in his life. Okay, I told him what he was going to wear to school. I took him to school. I packed his lunch. His teachers told him what he was going to do. I picked him up. I said, we're going to go to Walmart. You don't have a choice in the matter. We went to Walmart. This is it. This is his life. This is the big decision. And if I consistently, if this happens one time, okay, but you'll have to pretend this is happening multiple times. If he continuously gets this message, your decisions don't matter. Just do something. Let's go. We don't have time. Well, now Johnny's 16, and he's trying to decide if he's going to wear a condom with the girl that he's about to have sex with. What decision will he make? Let's go. Gotta go faster. You're going to miss out. And who taught him that?
Wow.
Me, the mother. So I'm going to go back to this scenario and demonstrate a much healthier thing to do. Okay, so we're standing at the Walmart, okay, and he's at the candy bar aisle, and I'm about to pay, and I look over, oh my God, okay, so there's a line. I wave to the line and I smile at the line because I'm so sorry, but this might take a minute, and we might be late. Our friends are just gonna have to wait in their car. So I walk over to him and I kneel down beside him and I tell him, I'm gonna get something too. Today, I'm wanting something more chocolatey. I actually have a dilemma. I want a Hershey's bar and a Twix bar. I would love both of them, but I can only have one. That's just the boundary. The boundary is that we get one piece of candy. And so last time I got a Twix bar, and today I'm feeling like something smooth, so I'm gonna go with the normal Hershey's bar. So right here, right now, I've taught him that I had a problem on a level that's appropriate for him to understand. And I taught him how I solved the problem by using the process of elimination. Children aren't born knowing how to do this, they need to be taught. So now I'm going to help him with his process. So I ask him, Johnny, do you want something fruity or chocolatey? Well, let's just start there. Fruity. Okay, cool. Hard or soft? Like Starburst or gummy worms? Like what just give me a vibe, right? Sour or not sour? And through the process of elimination, I can help him work through the biggest decision he's ever had in his life right now, today. And we can figure out what it is exactly that he wants. And now I've just taught him how to problem solve. So now he's 16 and he's trying to figure out if he's going to wear a condom with the girl that he's about to have sex with. And he knows that he can take time. People will wait on him. He's going to get what he wants. He can make appropriate, healthy adult decision. Well, he's only 16, but he can make a decision. I've taught him how to use the process of elimination, take his time to make the decision that's right for him. He's much more likely to make the right decision because I taught him that.
Right.
And so these are the 5 different levels of abuse. And they all carry really heavy weight. I mean, 20%. They're all about 20%, right? So physical abuse, we would brain spot that. Sexual abuse, we're probably going to brain spot that. That we might even do some cognitive stuff so that people understand, like, it wasn't my fault, whatever it was that happened, and to give that energy back or get it out of the body. For emotional abuse, it's going to be a lot of self-esteem building, loving oneself, inner child healing. With the intellectual abuse, it's going to be helping people learn how to problem solve. Maybe their parents never taught them. So it's putting the accountability on the adults in their life, not the blame, but the accountability, but also the accountability on them to learn, right? You're an adult now, and I'm sorry your parents didn't teach you, but you're making decisions like a 5-year-old. It's time to grow up. Like, so there's some accountability and responsibility here. And we can go slowly. Like, you don't have to be perfect, right? It's not a progress over perfection, but it's time for us to learn different ways. And then for the spiritual abuse, it's going to be dethroning the parents as the higher power role. So for a lot of people who have experienced the spiritual abuse, they'll live for their parents or for their partner, right? I make decisions because of what they would have me do, not God would have me do. I want my parents' approval. I want my partner's approval. God loves me anyway, so I want their approval. I live my life. I make my decisions in my life because of what they would have me do, the people in my life, not what my higher power would have me do. And so it's learning to put the weight on the higher power rather than the parents or the partner. It's a lot of pressure to have all that power as a human.
My mind is just blown. Thank you so much for sharing that and all those different examples and how, it could even look like, because I didn't realize that there's 5 different kinds and
Hmm.
just digging in deep, right? Like, okay, and how can we heal it? Like
Yeah,
that's the process that once we become aware, then we get to heal it and how beautiful that is.
absolutely.
And then just releasing stuck energy so we can feel our best selves.
Yes, you're on it. Yeah, that's it.
I love that. Okay, and to tell us more about your book.
Okay, yeah. So my book is called Choosing to Love Again, Overcoming the Kind of Betrayal That Nobody Talks About. Okay, and I'll be upfront. The kind of betrayal that nobody talks about is familial sexual trauma. So this book is about 60% personal memoir of my incest story with both my biological mother and my biological father that happened over an 8-year period. 4 years with my biological mother and 4 years with my biological father. So I'm uniquely blessed to be in this space to be able to talk about incest from two parents, both genders. And over such a long period of time, 8 years of my life, I was incested by a parent. So it's about 60% personal memoir and about 40% clinical observation on other incest survivors and how to overcome this kind of trauma, which I classify to be as one of the deepest forms of betrayal trauma that exists. It can be incredibly difficult to trust anybody again, let alone ourselves. One of the premises that I write about in my book is that betrayal is not just what happens, like, again, to us, it's how we pick it up afterwards. So I was a victim, clearly, right? I don't need to sugarcoat that. Like, I was a victim. I was also an offender. I picked up right where they left off, and I offended myself every day with self abandonment and self neglect. They might have taught me how to do it, but I continued to do it after the abuse stopped. And a big part of trauma healing is looking at both. It is very uncomfortable to say I was an offender. I offended myself maybe even longer than they did.
Um,
But we can't fully heal and we can't fully come out of the victim mentality until we look at both sides and take accountability for that. And a big part of it is overcoming learning how I betrayed myself and how I set boundaries with myself so that I will not do that again. And when I do that, I will be able to choose real love with myself and with others.
well, that is beautiful. I look forward to your book. Please tell our listeners where they can find you.
Absolutely. My website is probably the easiest, fastest way. It's tonaliservices.com, TONALLI services.com. There's a Work with Sarah tab at the top of that page where you can book a complimentary consultation with me, a video call just like this, and we can talk about how I can best support.
Thank you so much. Yeah, what you do is just really powerful and just helping to heal the collective. So
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Uh, and then I would like to thank Mutual Aid Network, which is a nonprofit. Everyone has strengths. Not everyone has the finances, right, for different services. So what we do in Mutual Aid Network is we use our time and our talents to just trade services and be able to help give each other, um, services. For example, I love to do Zoom karaoke. So Zoom karaoke is something that I started during the pandemic to just get people together. And we get to hear from people all over the world with Mutual Aid Network in different languages. We've had famous opera singers, famous singers. We've had people that just love to sing. And there's only 2 rules: to have fun and clap for the other person. So, we are going to do another one in December. and I get to host that on a Saturday morning, Hawaii time, from 8 to 9:30. We'll get you the dates, Sue and Kurt know. And then I also wanted to give a shout out for Frequence. I am an affiliate with Frequence, which is frequency infused nutrition. So one of the products that just came out is our new pineapple whip, Rise Nootropics, and that has 7 organic mushrooms. It really does taste like pineapple whip, so it is my favorite flavor, being from Hawaii too. And so it just helps with mental clarity, focus, creativity, and something that I need every single day because, there's, as a caretaker, as a mom with a child on the spectrum, there's things that I get to use for support as my supplement. So, yeah, I would love to help educate if you have any questions. December 20th will be the Zoom karaoke. So please look out for that link and we'll share that. And thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the World of Nutrition podcast. Nutrition for your body, mind, and soul. Aloha.